Here with Jim Wiesmeyer from Informa, Washington, here at the Rice Market and Technology Convention in Miami this year. With 30 different countries represented. Jim's our keynote speaker. We appreciate it. A lot of interest in trade agreements and trade policy, and we see people with a lot of questions, a lot of uncertainty in the direction of the free trade of the Americas, or whatever we want to call it today. Appreciate your comments on that.
Sure. I've on the one agreement, the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. I think that we will have that agreement, the framework of that agreement announced sometime this fall. It's been set October at the Apex meeting, and it's going to take a while to actually implement that and get that approved by the U.S. Congress, but it'll happen. The good part of any trade agreement, but especially the TPP, will be in-time improvements in market access, and that's good for U.S. rice producers or for any agricultural commodity that's export-oriented.
Jim, I've heard you say, is it free trade or fair trade? We started the initiatives with the word free, but we see in some agreements, for example, last night the Colombians were questioning, some of the fair aspects of free trade. Would you comment on the difference in those two?
Yeah, I will tell you, I give a lot of speeches in U.S. farm country, and a number of them bristle when they hear free trade agreement because they know the hurdles that countries put up relative to non-tariff trade barriers, even with the so-called free trade agreement with that country. So you try to get any agreement as fair as possible, and that's also to both sides. And what the U.S. is learning, I think, is other countries also have either their sensitive areas or need a longer time frame for implementation. But I do like the word fair because there's no such thing as total free trade.
Yeah. When we talk in the Western Hemisphere, all roads lead to Brazil at some point. I mean, they're the biggest producer of rice in the Western Hemisphere, the biggest consumer, and it's not a day goes by you don't pick up an article, just something overwhelming going on in Brazil. Give us your 2 cents worth on looking down the road for Brazil.
Sure. I'm a history major out of college, and they were a ag powerhouse in the 1950s. Then they went through a couple decades of their military juntas, and now now they're at where they left off in the 1950s. And so they'll be an increasing fierce competitor for the U.S. Trading bloc. That's not to be negative. We have to keep our toes in line through agricultural research, good products, the quality of the products, good financial tools for exporting market development. Also, Brazil in the coming decade is going to begin, I think, getting an infusion of funds for their infrastructure relative to their Tupi oil fields that will generate billions and billions of dollars. And so they're going to have the wherewithal from a government perspective to plow money back into that infrastructure, and Brazil needs that. The other aspect on Brazil is that their country is also improving from a middle class perspective. So I think for some commodities, increasingly, they're going to have to satisfy their domestic consumption. And so that could bode well for the U.S. relative to, some markets.
And it's good for their neighbors down there. I know countries such as Paraguay and Uruguay being a border with a market the size of Brazil is a very positive aspect. And then you throw Argentina into it that is raising a lot of eyebrows these days.
Yeah, I think I know a number of Latin American countries are kind of down relative to no visit yet from our President Obama. I do see in the decades ahead the rise of Latin America, and with Brazil as a leader in that, and that's good again for all the world, as that germ of improvement, developed economy, increased utilization of food, and things like that. I think that bodes well for us.
Jim, we appreciate you coming very much. I know your opening speech kind of sets the tone for everything here. It stimulates a lot of conversation. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Anytime, because as I told the audience, U.S. rice producers are part of the fastest growing industry in the world, and anything that's protein is the best, growth, product around. So we're going to have a number of, good years in the years ahead.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.